guys, what's up? It's Fazbear. Today I'll be reacting to a crazy animal battle. I didn't even know could even occur. The beast between the beasts of the river and an enemy to the non-crocodile hippo against the giant of the seas and the meal to orcas, the great white shark. How the results turn out? I don't know, but let's go to the video.
Animals you don't want to mess with. Most people think of dangerous carnivores. Lions, tigers, crocodiles, the usual suspects. But maybe, just maybe, herbivores deserve a little more credit because nature didn't just make plant eaters soft targets. Nope, it made one of the deadliest animals on Earth to show that the vegetarian squad is no pushover. In fact, one of them kills more people than tigers. Yeah, I'm talking about hippos. These things have anger issues baked into their DNA. Yeah, you just existing near their watering hole is enough to turn them Super Saiyan and chase after you. And walking by their river, yeah, congrats. You just got express shipped to the afterlife. That got me thinking, what happens when a hippo stops bullying antelopes and boats and steps into the deep end? What if it crosses paths with a top-tier apex predator from the sea? What better rep for the ocean than the great white shark? This is one of those matchups to make your brain hurt, but also spikes your curiosity. After all, you did click on this video, and you want to know who would win in a fight between a hippopotamus and a great white shark. On one side, we have a land tank that looks like a marshmallow but hits like a freight train. And on the other, we have a bloodthirsty torpedo with teeth that haunts the coasts and makes you wish you had a bigger boat.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, this one's gonna be wild. So how would a fight like this even happen? And who would win this fight? Well, the answer might surprise you. So stay locked in because this is actually gonna be really interesting, let me tell you. But before we begin, I would appreciate it if y'all subscribed, like this video, comment it while y'all think. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and would really mean a lot
in some territory.
to me. We're on our road to 100K here. If we manage to reach that goal, I will do a special video for y'all, whether it's me doing tug of war against a big cat, testing my strength against a gorilla, or something really cool like that. Sounds fun? So let's achieve that. But enough of the self-promo. In order to analyze who would win a fight, we gotta establish some ground rules. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Aren't these animals from two totally different worlds? Fair, but that's where our imagination comes in. The only way to
get stuck
to make this fair is if the fight happens in a neutral environment. So let's say this brawl takes place in an open bay, about maybe 20 to 25 feet deep. So this allows good room for the shark to move around and for the hippo to not completely drown here. And by the way, we'll assume both the hippo and great white shark are angry adults in their primes and want to duke it out. So yeah, they have to fight. But with all that said, let's see who wins this fight. Size and physique. The hippopotamus. It's a walking war crime with tusks. People tend to think herbivores are gentle, grass-munching pacifists. But not this beast. The hippo is a muscle-bound menace straight out of a nature documentary gone wrong. Approaching hippo is not a feat of bravery, people. It's an IQ test. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. In fact, adult hippos can destroy
hippo does not want to mess with it.
Cars with ease have been shown to humiliate lions and even crunch through watermelons like candy. And physically, it's a nightmare for any carnivore. You see, the hippo has a bit of a reputation for being a living tank. It supports a barrel-wide rib cage and a low-slung, dense frame that's as robust as it is terrifying. I mean, a lot of people think it's just a big blob of fat moving around, but in actuality, they are really muscle dense. And this is proven not only by their buoyancy in water, but also their subcutaneous fat lining being rather thin for an animal of their size. To put simply, why they don't look super jacked is because of their very thick skin that can grow up to 2 inches deep. Yeah, that might as well be armor-plated leather. In fact, hippos are so durable that they've been known to survive rifle shots. That's wicked, but okay, we get it. They are super tanky and carry the attitude fit for Frieza. So just how big is this river warlord? Well, the average bull hippo clocks in anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 pounds.
That's heavy though.
and reaches around 11 feet in length. Yeah, that's an animal the size of a car that hates everything. But now let's talk about mobility, because this is where things get interesting. In
A hippo's not so
shallow water, hippos are surprisingly agile. Their buoyancy lets them pivot, lunge, and bounce like 2-ton pinballs. And this is also in large part due to the medium of water, making it easy for them to do so. Essentially, it takes less stress of the limbs. But here's the catch. Hippos can't swim in the traditional sense. They actually gallop or bounce alongside the riverbed. But let me tell you, their bulky and chunky frame may be great for durability, no doubt, but they definitely do not have a streamlined body. So their gracefulness and agility will definitely take a hit when it comes to deep waters. You know, hydrodynamics will not be in their favor here, and those exposed legs could be exploited. And speaking of nightmares with a mouth that will send you straight to the ER, let's talk about the great white shark. It's the apex predator, a torpedo-shaped monster, and a full-time reason why seals don't sleep well at night. These things haunt the coastal waters like a movie villain. Silent, cold, and perfectly engineered to ambush anything.
But the great white shark does has a higher bite force. Very good.
Anything unlucky
Yes,
enough to enter their domain. And their domain? Yeah, it spans oceans across the globe. Anywhere temperature water touches land, the great white likely patrols. In fact, it's pretty much unrivaled when it comes to presence and power. Well, besides maybe its one enemy, killer whale.
Killer whales.
Let's be real here. Killer whales are basically the final bosses of the ocean who roll in and do whatever they want. But that should not take away from what the great white brings to the table. Because when it comes to solo killers of the ocean, the shark is about as elite as you can get. In fact, they are so strong that they've been known to snap through metal cages.
What?
But now let's break down this beast, shall we? And surprisingly, the female great white shark
4,000 psi.
tend to be the heavyweights of the species, often outsizing males when fully grown. In fact, mature females typically average between 15 to 16 feet in length and weigh in around 1,500 to 2,400 pounds. And that thing is a literal ton of problems for any fish. But when compared to the hippo, yeah, it's obvious the hippo has a weight advantage here. But perhaps the longer and sleeker body of the shark might actually give it some advantages.
Yes,
See, in water, weight isn't really that big of a factor
It also depends on the weapon.
compared to something like its structural build. This is because the water medium lessens the weight of animals, so it likely wouldn't really play as large of a role as it would on land. And here's the thing, while the hippo is built for sheer durability, the shark is built for aquatic efficiency, stealth, and lethal attacks. You see, great whites display something called counter shading. Their white underside and darker upper body makes them very hard to see in open water, and even breaks up the outline of the shark. From above, their top blends into the ocean depths, and from below, their belly disappears into the glare of the sun. So perhaps seeing them far from underwater would be a hard thing to do. And next is their skin. Now, it's not exactly hippo level in durability, but they do have something called placoid scales, which are tiny, tooth-like structures
I don't know
across their skin. This not only makes it resistant to scratchy surfaces, but also reduces drag in water, which basically turns the shark into a streamlined bullet. Oh, and just one more thing about their anatomy, which does have both pros and cons, is their fins. To put simply, their tail fins are the main driving force when they move. Their dorsal fins provide stability, and their pectoral fins help them with lift and steering. Essentially, to point out the obvious for you, yes, the shark would be a lot more agile in water, but any damage to those fins could greatly hinder the shark's movements. And they also have something called ram ventilation, which means they have to be constantly moving forward in order to breathe. This means that anything that rams them with a good amount of force could stun the shark. But sheer size and physical build are only half the equation. When it comes to an actual fight, it's not just about what you are, it's about your weapons and how you fight. And these animals are very different and very deadly. So this brings me on to my last point, which is weaponry and fighting IQ.
Yes, weaponry.
Alright, this fight is shaping up to be a bite against bite slugfest. And while neither the hippo nor the great white shark are the most intelligent, but make no mistake, what they lack in complex strategy, they make up for with raw brutality. In fact, both of them have actually similar bite strengths to one another as to where it really doesn't matter whose is more powerful. But they both have completely different dentistry, which gives them different bite effectiveness and
The great white shark is stronger. Great white shark has 40,000 feet.
their method of attack. So let's start with the hippo, shall we? This beast is
PSI.
built like a medieval battering ram with a jaw that opens up to 150 degrees. Yeah, that's wide enough to swallow your hopes, dreams, and a few limbs in one go. And its bite, it's no joke.
Possible.
It's estimated to be over 1,800 psi, making it one of the